Alright, so today, finally, I will be starting the metal work on this Karman Ghia. I know a lot of you that have been following along on the channel have probably been wondering to yourself, what happened? How come we ain't working on this? Well, the metal that has been ordered, all but the headlight surrounds, are here. I'm going to show you those right now. Then we're going to get started cutting this thing up. Alright, stick with me. Let's get it done. Alright, so I was saying here recently that I'm going to start filming a little more in-depth of doing the metal work and such, so let's get started with that. So what I've done here, I'm getting ready to remove these headlight buckets, just give me more access to the nostrils and so on, plus they got to come out anyway. So what I've done is I have some Sharpie marks here, just locating these tabs, and then right here, I have this one marked on the outside, and so on. Just that way, when I go to put the buckets back in, I can make sure everything is clocked the way it needs to be. I did the same on this side, 2 marks for this tab. Now these headlight buckets are different on this car already, and I'll show you what I mean here in a second. So this tab at the bottom I have located. Now you see how this one has one here and nothing else. Whereas the driver's side has the tab here, here, and here, as well as this same one right here that this side has. So somebody must have added the extra tabs, I guess. But anyhow, I'm gonna get in here. I'm gonna clean up around. You can see the little marks here for where the spot welds were. So I'm just gonna polish this edge up, make everything a little easier to see, so I can go in there and just start drilling that out and remove the bucket. Alright, so now with it all polished up, and kind of move the lighting, you can really see right here where the indentation is. Right there shows it real well. So this just kind of highlights, you can see where all the divots are right here, so on, all the way around, so you know where to drill, because this lip is very small where it folds in and over. So the less material I have to remove here, the better. You definitely don't want to get carried away, or you're going to start getting into the outer crown and making a mess. So that's why I just go in here, wire wheel it. And the nice thing is you can see the spot welds even below that. A lot of times you can't. Now that I have those holes drilled out, I use the little 1/8 inch drill bit. Now I'm going to use this little step bit right here, bring it into focus, and just go up to the first one. All right, that way I get all of it in one shot. This is also one of those areas where you try a few different tactics and tools to figure out which one's going to work best for separating these. You hear that loud pop, and it finally cuts loose. Extra high pitch. Now granted, this is the easy part, getting in here, because I got access to the back. This, however, not quite so much. See just how stuck in there it is. loose on a bunch of them. That may be the ticket. Get a little more to this side. The camera's not really picking it up from this angle. I'm gonna move you over a little bit, where you can see more so how this here, you can see this is like flush and sunk in. This is all cut loose here. So if I get this side to do the same, we'll be in business. Bit on the bottom there. Everything's free except right in here. In here, good. Now, starting to hang up here. So I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna have to slip this over carefully. Lock that down. Now, maybe I can get in here. There we go. Bingo. And this, take it down here, you know, not bad at all. Now granted, the sections that are coming, I went ahead and ordered them both, just because that way we can have the right contour. And again, depending on the cost of a panel that's available that does properly fit, we'll say, right? Which one's more cost effective? Me to shape this section, or just buy the piece and I slice it out real quick and graft it in? That's another thing where you have to decide, you know, which one's more cost effective to get the same result. Now you can see here, come straight across, other than this, which is, you know, paper thin and hanging on its own, I didn't cause any damage, any deforming of this by removing the headlight bucket the way I did. Always be cautious. You know, you gotta have the patience when you're doing this metalwork stuff. You know, you can't get frustrated. You can't be in a rush in a lot of scenarios, because you'll end up making a huge mess and hurting yourself and hurting your wallet by doing so. So I think next thing I might do is just go ahead and punch through where these rivets were, so that I'll be able to go ahead and weld those back up. These nostrils, I'll be getting to those after this. I'm still kind of on the fence. I think what I'm gonna do is come in here and just cut out what I have to. And I will probably have to go a little larger here, because the wrought through on this interior panel and the way that, you know, a lot of this stuff comes together to be able to access all the rust from the inside. But I may just come in here and graft, as far as this goes, this section versus getting into all of this. We'll see. All right, now I'm gonna move over here, repeat the process. All right, so after a lot of consideration and just debating what to do next in regards to, you know, this wrought, the wrought under here, both sides, and here, I've come to the conclusion that a lot of people are probably going to think I'm absolutely nuts for, but I'm going to remove this nose cap. Now, all right, so I removed their lead or pewter or whatever you want to call it that they had in there. You can see more of their weld where it was finished off. I just want to stay as close as I can, or directly on top of their original seam if possible, except for I'm not going to drop down here. I'm just going to carry it straight on through here. Again, less work because I'm going to do this anyway. So less seams the better. So I'm just gonna follow it up through here, but I wanted to get that out of the way, as well as in here, you know, dig it out. So there again, I can stay right on top of where they cut it originally. Highlighted my, trying to get it to show up on here, highlighted all my spot welds as I did with the headlight buckets. Again, here you can see where it was welded and over. And then down here where they had filled it, you know, coming into the two. Well, this is just kind of like a big junction for these sections, you know. So this one, I'm gonna come on down. Let's see, where's the line? So I'm gonna come on down here, and then I'm probably just gonna cut it down this way. But I may just go through here, we'll see. Anyhow, the less, the better, but you get the point. Same thing on the bottom. And see, there's not even that many spot welds across the bottom that are where I need to go. Because basically, where all this rotten mess is here, that I'd be cutting out anyway, it just goes from there across to the rotten area, and then that's it. So you can see how quick it'll be to remove this whole panel. But I'm not gonna drill the spot welds out until I cut the body, because the more rigid it is, while I'm cutting these larger sections, I'll start down here, cut up, and then come up across here after both lower sections have been cut, just to keep everything as, you know, sturdy as possible. Just cleaner cuts, easier, and again, not trying to distort anything. There we go. All right, so now you can see real well what I was talking about, how I have to get in here and make all this corner. I mean, how are you gonna get in here and get to all that with the nose in the way? So like I said, I'll take the grinder and I'll just grind this flange off here, leave the original behind, and then that won't be so bad. But there was filler and all kinds of mess packed in here. It was still glued to. The other thing is this seal that they had in here. If I started doing all that, you know, trying to weld it in and do all this, I was gonna burn the seal up. It was gonna show, and just wasn't the right way. And now I've got real good access in here, because I'm gonna have to make this flange as well as put this patch in here and such. See, even this is rotten, so I gotta get in here and fix that. This side will be a lot better to get to, and there again, I can get this seal out of here, which I'd have been melting and would have been in my way for doing all of this. So it looks like I'm gonna have to do both of these. And then when I was removing it, you know, this car just got kind of weird rust, like, you know, coastal rust, we'll say. In the seams back in here where the two panels come together, there was more rot, so I gotta fix that. And then right here, you can see again, I'm gonna have to come in here and make part of this brace get this all put in, and then this panel behind it as well. But yeah, where they had it overlapped up here, this was done different and spot welded underneath, so I had to get in there and hammer on it quite a bit more than this side. You know, you saw it popped loose pretty quick. Anyway, this side, it's a bit nastier than the other side. This is just, I mean, it's just gone bad. So I'm gonna end up making a lot more of this inner box here. But now I can get to it. It's kind of wild seeing it with the nose off. And there again, same thing with this. You can see how crusty even on the back side these things are. I can graft these in real nice and clean, weld everything the way it needs to be. Same thing here, just like all these lower sections where you can see I'd had another panel in the way. I can come in here and do everything, try to put it back factory looking like I was never here, and then just put it back in the car. Okay, so where this I'm gonna slice, I'm gonna come straight across the top of this inner plate, and then it just rolls down under and continues that lip up. So this basically goes straight down, catches this. This is pretty much just straight across from here to here. And then I have this curve going up to this line. And then it has a lip that comes in that this triangle sits on. Where it's spot welded to it. So no flange going up on the inside, just flat. This edge rolled. This one rolled up, spot welded. And it sits flush with this rolled edge here. And basically comes over and touches this flange here. So I came in here and removed these little triangular tray pieces of structure or whatever you want to call them here. So I got these removed. This one I just went in and cut this out because it was all rotten behind here anyway, so I wouldn't have to bend up the bracket. This side kind of the same, started drilling it and then ended up just cutting the end of it because this one had more rod in it. This lower lip you can see is just, let me get it to focus, it's just ate up and just gone because it's not even coming and rolling back here. So what I'm doing right now is just basically cutting out all of the bad that I need to so I can start fabbing up the pieces and putting them back. The next thing I'm gonna do is right here. Now, this piece that comes across has a flange that, you know, goes up and folds back about so far. So I'm just gonna come and cut it across here real clean and flush. And I'm gonna use this as a template and make a new one, but I'll probably end up making it just a little bit bigger to where it would lay down in here. So when I put the new nostril inner housing, the inner half, however you want to call it, back in here and it meets up, even on this factory one, you can see this is the inner structure here, and this is where the nostril came and attached. It's a little bit wider, and then I'll just come back in and grind it back to make it look just like this one does now, just after that factory finish when everything's all said and done. So I'm gonna do that on both sides. So I'll have to flange it and then flange it for the top, you know, have it where it sits back in, and then also flange it here where it attaches. There just ain't nothing left of this one at all. So I'll just lop this off and... Okay, so here's where I'm at now. I don't wanna cover too much and make the video boring, you know what I mean? So anyhow, I'm on to trying to address these nostrils. Now, got the new panels, they're over here. This one I've already started working on, but check this out. So that one's got more rust in it, so we'll start with this one. You can clearly see the shape to it, right? It's not flat, it's got a lot of curve all the way through. Now let me hold up the new one. Look how flat that is. That one has some. but it's very flat compared to this. And obviously it's longer because these are pretty much made to convert your 60 and up Karman Ghia to, you know, a low light nostril. This panel here, you can see I already cut this much off of it. And I've been beating on it a bit. And the reason for that is I'm trying, this outer lip is deceiving, but I'm starting to get it to curve like the original so that I can drop it in here and confirm the dish. So I've been kind of debating, you know, which route to go with this. I do feel like the bottom, the top, it's pretty well curved to match. You can kind of see here, and you see where the inner bucket, we'll call it, how it is curved, but the lower section of it is not really. And I believe that's what's holding me back from getting the same curve that I have on this one. Because see, you can tell from this angle, it's all curved. This one has a heavier curve. I mean, this piece is out, but still. So, still pretty flat, but I'm getting there. The top one, you can definitely see the dish in it. So I think at this point, I'm gonna end up, I was hoping it was gonna go a little quicker, but that's just the way it goes. So I believe at this point, I'm just gonna end up driving this down in here as flush as I can, because the more I tweak on this, the more it shrinks this inner section. It shrank it 1/2 inch when I first started doing this, because it's all, you know, pie cut and everything. But I'm gonna get this down as flush as I can in here, definitely get it lined up and trim this back more so. This one I have just enough to come in here and fill this. And then I'm gonna get me some center marks. I'll just take like the grinder or something like that, just real lightly scribe it across so that nothing gets out of whack when I cut this out. And then I'll just graft it in, and as I graft it in, just work this edge, and I think that'll get it to fall into place. All right, so I got it pretty well shaped in, so you can push it down pretty flush. It has some flex to it, of course. Got it pretty tight all the way around, like I said, and it's sitting in the original, but now you can see the curvature here and down there to match this shape. So you can see I just have it set down in there like that. So now I'm gonna come around here, mark it, mark a center line, of course, just in case it wants to try a shift, and start fitting this in, and then I'll bring you back. This is why you double check everything or triple check everything before you go to do it. So you can see right here, you know, I was picking up where I'd left off the day before. So I had the curve this direction, right? And then you saw that I had it sitting inside. See where I traced around here. I ended up trimming this back because I don't need to go over here. So let's trim this back along this line on my cutout piece here. And I pulled it out, and right away I'm sure you can already see my issue. Look how much material is here. So I mean, fingernail for instance, and look where I'm at here. This is way below where this is, and here again where they're not made to the right specifications. So I'm going to have to stretch this down even more than I already have to make it the same curve as this. So I'll go back to beating on this puppy, but right here you can definitely see the curve that I've added to it compared to, step out of the way. So Here's this one. You can see like damn near just straight on line in the bottom versus that. So this one has some here, minimal, the bottom straight on compared to this. But now I have to get this to stretch downward, because even this one is not either. It's just too much straight lines. All right, I'm gonna get to beating on that some more and bring you back. Okay, so here's final fitment before I'm gonna grind back my lines and prep it obviously to weld it in. So it's real tight, got it real close. This I have a little bit more than I wanted, but then again it was cut out up here, and that's still pretty damn tight. So here it is. And some of it, like right in here, you know, it's pretty close. Some of it I'm gonna have to work, like I can catch my finger on that. I'm just gonna have to, you know, tack, hammer and dolly, and get it fine tuned as I drop it in. At least now it resembles an original. What I would say a ridiculous amount of work for a pre-made, supposed to be high quality panel. All right, so I wanted to bring it back in here. If I just did a time lapse, I just got to baby this thing. I mean, this stuff's super thin, and you see what I'm working with. So taking your time is crucial on this stuff. So anyway, I got it all, you know, tacked in there. You can see it's all nice and tight, but check it out as far as the fitment, because you just slowly but surely work it in there. And I got it all blended in real nice and tight. All right, so on to round two. Got to do the other side. I got it flipped around here. The lighting's not the greatest with the sun out here. So again, I'm just gonna lay it in here, push it in as much as I can, check for my gap here where that's rotted out, make sure that I have plenty here, and then I'm gonna chop this back, basically mimic what I did on the other side. Just come in here and clean it up. This one, I just started to grind it. I know it looks like crap right now, it's fine. My belt sander that I like to finish this stuff off with to get it nice and clean and stay on the weld broke my last belt, so I'm just leaving it like that. I'll pick that stuff up tomorrow. But at least we got that shape in there, which we have to, or I have to, say we, but it's me, shape this one in. So hopefully I can get this one done faster than that one, you know, that's always the hope anyway. All right, start cutting, and then I'm gonna try to film this one with me beating the snot out of it basically to get it to shape properly. All right, let's get to it. Surprisingly, this side seems to have a bit tighter fit than the other side did. However, yeah, that ain't even close. The same here, way off. But turn it up on the inside. I'll have to flare this, but down in there you can kind of see it's tight. And this one more so as well. So that's the upside. Okay, let's get to stretching it out and actually making it curve. Okay, so that got me to here, which is pretty close because this has got a bit of a flare up, whereas this is actually rolled downward. But it's down in there pretty tight. Have to flare this up. I'll show you why I've kind of stopped where I did. Down here, it's basically following it. This is a little high, which I want, but I have it tight. See, it's tight in the basket and here on to the original. Now, what I'm gonna do from here is gonna come and take my hammer and we'll work the edge, making sure it's all good and tight against the factory one. And then I will be able to start shaping this outer edge to this closer. That's why I left these high like I did, to allow me to do that. And then once I get that done, we'll go from there. Okay, so I don't know if you could tell in time lapse or not, but the reason I was using my little welding pliers is I was actually stretching. I'm gonna call this a basket. You can call it whatever you want, but I'm calling this recessed section here the basket. I had to stretch it because it was, I mean, well, you could kind of see when I was flipping over. It was a pretty nasty gap. I mean, you could stick your finger in there. This is relaxed. Obviously, I don't have no clamps or nothing on it now. And it is pretty darn close. Just had to stretch it along this seam, you know, just working it up and down slowly but surely to stretch the metal, not kink it all up. Then I locked it down here so that I could get the upward stretch, because these are a lot thinner than this. So flexing it is not that difficult, we'll say. So this is pretty darn close. I mean, obviously it's overlapped, so my lip is not back where it needs to be. I did take measurements to make sure that the depth is correct on both of these before I started. It is, just the shape, obviously wrong. This one I will probably come back and fine tune it, you know, obviously. But this one, there was a lot more of this original basket left, so I was able to do it here before I cut the piece out. The other one I have over there somewhere. So, okay, I'll pull this out and get ready to start trimming to fit. I just went and threw the nose up here for a second, but you can see I got them all welded in and ground down. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do on this is I'm gonna replace this whole lower section. Got this panel in now. So the reason for that is real deep, heavy pitting here. Obviously the amount of rot that's here, you can see the factory seam. So that panel, you know, obviously goes from this seam to this seam, and then I can just do, because you start cutting it out and then you make that a straight line, you might as well have just come straight across and just done it all at once, and then just end up with all solid metal, not some heavily pitted here. So with this panel, it is cut a bit long. You can see the edge of the recess here versus here, and you can see how wide this is versus this. I'm not going to remove this, there's no need to. So I'm going to come just above that line, and I'm going to make a line across here. All right, so here it is, all clamped down tight. I got that crease all hammered out. You can see some of this here. So it's fitting pretty tight. So this basically comes to the inner edge of the weld, and then I got it scribed across here. I had to squeeze it down a bit in the center, but fits nice across. Same thing on this side, fits right inside of that edge. And then the bottom, this is just a hair below the original. Same thing here, not really enough to do the full fold, but we'll see how it goes when I get it in there to make it as close as possible. But all of this here is tight against the other. Okay, so I've come in here and ground it down. I got to come back and hammer and dolly it so I can finish polishing it out and smoothing it real nice, because no matter how slow you go, as thin as this steel is, it's going to warp and shrink and stretch and all that a bit. So next step is, after I hammer and dolly all that, is I'm going to come in here, remove this, and then start replacing these lower quarter sections, both sides, finish addressing these areas, and carry on from there. All right, so I've cut out and replaced these lower sections on both sides, grafted in here. Got this one, I cut the hole out of it since it didn't come pre-cut. I went ahead and just air chiseled back here so I didn't have to drill the spot welds, because I'm gonna use my spot welder to come in here and make it look factory again. But I got a nice good fit and finish in here, so to speak. Everything lined up real nice, didn't take much effort. So now this is where it ripped when I was taking out the spot welds, which basically, you can see this is sitting right over it, this flange here. So I'll just go back and I'll weld it to it, fill that in, no big deal. Okay, I'm gonna get this thing spot welded in. Okay, so here it is all spot welded in. I went ahead and did this side, even though I'm gonna have to come on the back. Went all the way across, pulled it nice and tight. Okay, so that's gonna finish up this video. Next weekend, I should have the next one out, and at that point, this nose will be welded back on. So, thanks again for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, leave me a comment, like, click the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one.